stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Advised by the town clerk, the warrant has been properly posted. I would entertain a motion to dispense with the formal reading of the warrant. The warrant was posted on October 5th. It's been moved, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, so voted. Declare unanimous. I have nominated Peter Coughlin as assistant moderator for this meeting. I would entertain a motion to appoint him. Moved, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, so voted. Declare unanimous. Thank you, Peter. With the assistant moderator and the following tellers, please stand to be sworn in by the town clerk: Susan Frankel, Christopher Baraki, Lynn Donnelly, Peter Toppin, Thomas Gavin, Irene Murray, Penny Scott Pipes, Ellen Kelly, Rich Harding, Marlon Medina.
If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties and responsibilities as a teller for a special town meeting this evening? Thank you.
Thank you. Don't sit down just yet, Kathy. Kathy has told me that there is some new technology thing that has to do with checking in. Since I am neither a teenager nor do I have teenagers with me to explain it to me, I'm going to have to ask Kathy to explain what it is and how it works. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So tonight we're demonstrating through LHS. Tom Burton with the yellow shirt in the back has offered his services tonight to demonstrate the process. It's more efficient and easier for checking in at a town meeting. So you check in obviously by your name, or you have the option, and it's an option, of scanning in your driver's license. And that's it. It makes the whole process much smoother and easier and much more efficient. And we get a count of attendance here in a quicker fashion as well. So I thank you to Tom for demonstrating this tonight.
To the volunteers, the tellers, Kathy for coming in with this great idea, Deputy Moderator, could you just give them a round of applause? Thank you. Now I have a very special treat for you. We have a distinguished guest with us tonight, Congressman Stephen Lynch. Can you think of a more interesting time in our history to be in Washington? I can't think of many. Civil War, maybe. Well, we'll let the pundits comment on that. Congressman, could you please come up and speak to me? I know
Thank you, Richard. Good evening, everyone. I understand that there are a half dozen items on the warrant, so I will be brief, but I do want to thank Mr. Moderator for allowing me a brief opportunity just to give as I said, a brief update on activities in Washington. Firstly, while I always strive to be non-political at these town meetings, at the risk of being thrown out, I would like to take a moment just to say thank you to the town of Scituate for the wonderful support that I received in the midterm elections a little over a week ago. And just tell you what an honor it is. I'm deeply grateful for the honor of representing Scituate in the United States Congress. I also want to note that the town of Scituate had a record turnout. I track my towns, and I think the entire state, I think Scituate was near the top, 74% turnout. So thank you for your good citizens. A couple of things. One, as a result of the changes in the majority of the House of Representatives, I honestly expect that we will be finally able to pass a long-term extension of the National Flood Insurance Program. And I know how important that is to a lot of people in Scituate. And I worked for several years with the former State Representative Jim Campbell on that issue. And so now it looks as though Mr. Henselman from Texas, who was the chair of the my committee, has chosen not to run again. He came from an area of Texas. He did not believe in flood insurance, national flood insurance. His part of Texas had not had a flood since Noah. And he believed in tornado insurance, but he did not believe in flood insurance. So now he will be moving out and we'll have a new chair of the committee. So I expect that in short order, hopefully during the lame duck session between now and January, we might be able to get that done. But if not, certainly after January. Another result of the majority change is that it's highly likely that I will become the chairman of the National Security Subcommittee, which will allow me to have a greater impact on your behalf. As you know, we have a significant number of challenges to our national security, ranging from cybersecurity vulnerabilities to our state and local election systems, to the relentless hacking of business and government and financial institutions, and the spreading of identity theft. Our national security posture also includes the status of our sons and daughters in uniform, obviously. Right now, we have about 23,000 men and women in uniform deployed mostly in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. And yet, our strategy at this point appears to be somewhat rudderless, and congressional oversight has been seriously lacking. So, obviously, we will be addressing that. There are also a number of flashpoints around the globe where our support for peacekeeping efforts are now being revisited by the White House, and so we have to keep an eye on that as well. We also have ongoing challenges to our own borders, which are vulnerable to breaches from fentanyl, shipments from East Asia, as well as persistent threats from terrorist organizations around the globe, and a thoughtful, bipartisan, and balanced immigration policy that acknowledges our obligations as a nation of immigrants, but also secures our borders from global terrorist organization, would also serve our nation in the long run. National security also includes infrastructure. Domestically, we've had a large number of natural gas pipeline explosions, most notably the recent explosions in Lawrence and Andover. According to the Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, in the last year we've had over 600 pipeline incidents in the U.S. that have resulted in 20 fatalities and 35 injured. As more of these low-pressure gas lines are being replaced with extremely high-pressure gas lines, especially in thickly settled residential areas, we have to make sure that we take stronger countermeasures to protect public safety, and also greater precautions must be taken to prevent any disaster from becoming widespread. In our most recent session of Congress, we did pass a significant funding bill for defense, health and human services, and education. The bill provides $6.7 billion for substance abuse education and treatment and for mental health purposes. It includes $3.8 billion specifically targeted to the opioid epidemic. It also provides $34.4 billion for defense care and defense health care, and $125 million for traumatic brain injury and PTSD health research. This will be very important to assist our ongoing program at the Brockton VA, where we've actually taken over 250,000 brain scans of our veterans, mostly from New England. We serve all New England at Brockton. We've taken brain scans so that we can compare brain scans before deployment and then obviously help with assistance and diagnosis after the return from deployment. So that'll be a great improvement. Scituate has a long and proud tradition of patriotic service to our nation. We currently have 2 students that are nominated and are serving at the United States Service Academies. I want to recognize Johan Johnson, United States Air Force Academy, class of 2020. His parents are Carol Clayson and Tristan Johnson, 425 Hatherley Road. He's a Scituate High School kid. And Tom McGowan, United States Naval Academy, class of 2020. Parents are Christine and Brian, 9 Briarwood Lane, attended Boston College High School. It's a very competitive process, and You should be very, very proud. Not only do these young people succeed at the academies, but also there's a 4-year commitment after that. So it's a serious commitment on their behalf. And again, you should be very proud. In fairness, also on occasion, we have some young people who serve in the Peace Corps. When I was in Sub-Saharan Africa, recently in Darfur, near the border with Chad and Sudan, I had the opportunity to meet with some of our young people who were serving in the Peace Corps in very, very remote areas of Africa. These are mostly young women in their early 20s, educating tribal members on avoiding HIV infection, which was and is at an epidemic level in many parts of Africa. Now, in many cases, these young women have been, mostly young women, but operating alone hundreds of miles from any village or running water, and their service is simply heroic when you see what they're dealing with. No other way to describe it. So I made a rule that whenever we received information that anyone in my district was serving in the Peace Corps, especially in Africa or in these tougher neighborhoods, we should acknowledge them. So tonight I'd like to acknowledge and thank Marguerite Clarity of Scituate. She was serving in Togo, a place with some serious challenges. I've been in that region, and I guarantee she's one of the few Clarities in Togo. And in closing, I just want to wish you all a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I want to thank you for being involved in town meeting. Scituate is really a shining example of what's best about America. You care deeply for your seniors, you honor our veterans, and you are intensely mindful of our children's future. So thank you again for allowing me the honor of representing you in the United States Congress. May God bless Scituate, and may God continue to bless these United States of America. Thank you.
Congressman, thank you very much. You know, it's great to get a report like that because it really lets you know what's going on there. It's a big world. So thank you again, Congressman. I'd like to ask the Chairman of the Advisory Committee to introduce the members.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening. My name is Lincoln Heineman. I'm the chair of the Scituate Advisory Committee. Across the line here to my left is Patrice Metro, Lise Rousseau, our newest member, the Vice Chair, Terry Kelly, Mike Westcourt, Sean DeLacy, Anthony Antoniello, and not able to be here because of work obligations, Jeff Burns and Jamie Gilmore. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Chairman John Danny to introduce the members of the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, Town Accountant, and Town Council.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I'm John Dennehy, the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and with me at the table here, you'll see as you're sitting here now is Nancy Holt, the Finance Director, your Finance Director. The gentleman right here is your Town Administrator, Jim Boudreau. The lady at the end of the table is your Town Council, Cindy Amara. Now, with the Board itself, my Vice Chairman, Maura Curran. Next to Maura is Selectman Karen Canfield. Next to Karen is Sean Harris. And then the gentleman next to Cindy Amara and Mr. Harris is Tony Mignani. Thank you.
I'd like to ask I'd like to ask Michael Long, Chairman of the School Committee, to introduce the board members. Rich, you're the Chairman? Chairman Rich Beaver. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm Richard Beaver, Chair of the Scituate School Committee. I have the pleasure of introducing Ron Griffin, our Superintendent of Schools, Janice Lincoln, Mike Long, Peter Gates, and I'm able to make it tonight for my case. Thank you.
Somber note, I'd just like to take a moment to remember some of the folks that we've grown used to seeing here over the years past. Georgia Kelly, longtime town meeting teller and attendee. I can still see George standing at that middle mic. John Jack Francis Sheehan, Scituate Schools. Tom Riley, who was a constable. Great man, Myron Bullock, who many of you knew him, Conservation Commission, Renewable Energy Committee. Ed Dogg, former town administrator. Ed, a very quiet man, kept very low profile, but he was one of the first town administrators in Scituate. Jeanette Monroy, Scituate police dispatcher who died in a tragic accident down in the Caribbean. So if you just take a moment to keep these folks in your thoughts, I know their families will appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Rich Bowen, and I'm the town moderator. As moderator, I preside over questions of order. Please let me take a couple of minutes to explain the rules. This is a legislative body. We're citizen legislators. Like any legislative body, we have certain rules that govern how the meeting is run. These derive from state law, town bylaw, parliamentary, manual town meeting time, and the charter. Here's a basic summary. All non-voters, except for professional consultants advising boards, must sit in the non-voter section over the left front bleacher, which is just over here. Ordinarily, only registered voters may address the meeting. However, at this time, I will assume the consent of the meeting to allow non-voters to speak for a reasonable time period, provided they are duly recognized, and unless a timely objection is raised. Is there an objection? There being none, consent is assumed. Persons wishing to address the meeting must, each time rising to speak, identify themselves at the meeting by name and address. This traditional courtesy shows respect to the other meeting members and also assists us in memorializing the record so that we will forevermore know who you were when you said those important things. Speakers representing a board, community group, or client should state this relationship prior to the meeting. If you are an article sponsor, please make the motion before you make your speech. Otherwise, I will rule you out of order. The hammer of democracy will get you. After making a motion, an article sponsor will be allowed up to 10 minutes for a presentation. Please feel free to take less time than that. Sponsors of resolutions will be allowed 5 minutes. Sponsors need not use the full allotment of time, and at this time reminded of that great town meeting maxim, brevity is the soul of wit. All motions must be seconded, and no motion is ordered until there is a second. Town meeting members are encouraged to speak from the center microphone down there. I will attempt to recognize persons in the order they arrive at various microphones. Only after being recognized by the moderator may a meeting member address the meeting. Shouting out from the floor, very much discouraged. Speaking without recognition, please don't do it. Why? Because this shows disrespect to the other persons present in the meeting. Speakers from the floor are allowed 5 minutes on the first round of discussion on an article and 3 minutes on the second round. A speaker from the floor who wishes to address the meeting for a second time on an article must wait until the persons who have not yet spoken get their turn. Speakers, please confine your remarks to the motion that is on the floor. Please address only matters of general interest and do not indulge in personal attacks or in any way question the motivations of the meeting member. Should you weary of debate, you may offer the motion, I move the question. This is the most beloved motion at town meeting. And I'm always going to try to give you your chance to get to the mic before anybody else. So just say, I move the question. Don't make a speech and then say, well, now that I've had my say, I move the question. No, can't do that. Just say, I move the question, and if you have a speech, give it to your husband or your wife or your dog when you get home. I'm sure they'll love it. A point of order relates only to procedural issues, questions of procedure. It is not a mechanism for prolonging debate. If you say, point of order, Mr. Moderator, you better have a point of order. There's no such thing as a point of information that's just a ruse to prolong debate or to ask the questions you probably should have asked when we had the microphone before. On voice votes, I listen to hear whether the motion passes or fails. If you question my call, please rise immediately. Don't post about it on Scituate Monthly afterwards. Don't send a letter to the editor. Stand up. If find 6 other people to stand up with you, and we will take account. I will warn you though, that my vote calls in 15 years of doing this, you haven't got me yet. So tonight might be the night. But there's the rule. Towers will only count those persons in the bleachers or floor seating sections. If you're standing in the back of the room, standing away from the seating area, tough luck. You're not going to get down. Section 20,150G of the bylaws allows the moderator to declare 2/3 votes. Again, for you Facebook strongmen, if the moderator's declaration is immediately questioned by 7 or more voters, we will take account. But you gotta do it then, not later. Please silence your cell phones, honorary resolutions. I don't think we have any. Okay, on to the races. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different at the suggestion of the town administrator. He had a great idea, which was that we can bundle up some of what I would call some of the more routine or non-controversial articles into a single motion. So he prepared this wonderful motion that bundles 6 of the 14 articles into one motion. And there's stuff like tax breaks for senior citizens. I don't know if anybody's going to be against that. Or looking for grant money from the government. Now, maybe someone will be against that. So anyway, the motion is going to bundle 6 of these up together. I will read the article numbers off for you. If it's something you really want to talk about, heck, we'll talk about it. You just say hold, say it real loud so everybody in the room can see who you are, and we'll talk. So the ones that will be part of the motion that Chairman Danny is going to make in a moment are Articles 2, which is on page 5 of your advisory committee booklet. Article 3, which is on page 6. Article 9, which is on page 13. Article 10, which is on page 14. Article 11, also page 14. And Article 12, which is on page 15. So take a second, glance at those, and then I'm going to call those numbers. If you say hold, we'll talk about it. If not, then I'm going to let John make his motion. Okay, so here's your moment of reflection. All right. I'm moving quickly because I know you've all done your homework in advance. So, holds. Article 2, no hold. Article 3, no hold. Article 9, no hold. Article 10, no hold. Article 11, no hold. Article 12. Article 12 is held. Who was that held Article 12? Just hold your hand. Okay, I see you. I really see you, Gigi. I see you. Okay. So, John, could you come up and make a motion on 2, 3, 9, 10, and 11?
I move the town vote to take Articles 2, 3, 9, 10, and 11 out of order, and that they be passed by consent in accordance with the motion shown on the consent agenda distributed this evening.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Second, Selectman Vignani. No speeches, no debates, no presentations. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. Congratulations, you just passed 5 articles. Next article, Article 1.
Thank you. I move the town transfer the sum of $1,155.82 from free cash, the sum of $1,411.28 from the water enterprise retained earnings, and the sum of $2,017.14 from transfer station enterprise retained earnings for the purpose of paying the fiscal year 2017 through 2018 unpaid bills.
It's been moved, seconded, discussion. Chairman Dan.
Thank you. This is a routine article. It's usually the first one. These are unpaid bills that came in after the budget had closed, after we had paid everything in the fiscal year. They came in after the fact. So now we need authorization in order to pay them. And so at this point, that's why the town is seeking the total sum of $4,584.24 to pay outstanding bills from a prior fiscal year. Thank you.
From the advisory committee, Chairman Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The advisory committee unanimously voted in support of this article. But note, as Chairman Danny said, there are a few more bills than normal on this, but it is a routine article, and I know our finance directors, Nancy Holt's doing a great job in getting some of these folks who haven't been getting bills in a long time, making sure that they do in the future. So, as I said, the advisory committee unanimously voted to support this.
Discussion from the floor. Gigi, are you waiting to speak? Okay. There being no one with the mics, all those in favor, this requires a 9/10 vote, those of prior years, do I have defenders to get the stuff in on time? So, I'll have a quorum of the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. We did Article 2. We did Article 3. Article 4. Chairman Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town transfer the sum of $325,000 from water enterprise retained earnings and $521.30 from the ride share fees received from the Commonwealth for the purpose of balancing the fiscal year 2019 operating budget pursuant to Articles 4 and 9 of the April 9th, 2018 annual town meeting warrant as printed in the town meeting warrant.
Moved, seconded, discussion.
So this article, as you probably saw in the advisory book, is dealing with primarily two issues. The first is groundwater. The second is $521.30 that we received actually from the Commonwealth. We need authorization from you folks in order to move it into one of the categories. In this case, since it came from the road area, we're putting in road maintenance. So that's the $521.30. The remaining three items that are listed, $200,000 is to cover continuing, shall we say, ice pigging that we've heard a lot about, and also some flushing coming in the spring. $75,000 for a water hydrology study to continue. The last one that we had done was back in 2001. So this is to update all the things that we've done, as well as to take a look at what we presently have, and also then train our perspective as to what we need to continue to do. And then the other one is for $50,000. That's $50,000 going forward. That's for a assistant supervisor in the water department. The position actually, when it's fully funded in the upcoming budget, is going to be $75,000 plus health insurance and other amenities that employees get. The need for that is, again, we're dealing with the brown water, we're dealing with source issues, we're dealing with making sure that the department is fully staffed so that we can address all these issues. Presently, we have the water supervisor, Mr. Anderson, who is dealing with the water treatment plant, who's dealing with water pipe replacement, trying to figure out whether the standpipes with our water tanks, as well as future expansion of the reservoir. And so this obviously allows him to be able to focus on the more important issues. Not that this person who's going to be more focused on the pipes and the groundwater is not important. It's just that now we have a dedicated person focused solely on that issue and issues, if you will, pertaining to the groundwater. The ice pigging, if you will. I think some people may have seen it. If you haven't, it's up on the town's website and maybe the YouTube to show you exactly what the results were. In particular, we did about 4 miles of cleaning pipes with what in essence is an ice slurry. For some people who go to Dunkin' Donuts, you get a coffee colada. That's kind of the slurry we're talking about. For people who don't get coladas, just think when you're a kid, you're getting snow cones. It's basically the ice chippings that are actually contained with some solutions that actually are put through a controlled condition of the pipes. And as it goes through the pipes, it takes all the sediment out. The sediment is like a snow globe, if you will. You know, all the materials and particulates are on the bottom of the pipe, and then all of a sudden, when the water's called for, generally through either a fire or through a broken pipe, all that churns and gets spun out. And just like a snow globe, will finally settle down, and then the water's under its normal pressure, you don't see it. So this ice pigging is actually a really new idea that's come out. Again, if you begin to do the numbers, 4 miles, $80,000, we believe that this is going to be a great solution for the town to really go through its 110 miles to clean out the sediment that takes care of what's presently in the system. Obviously, there's other issues that we need to address. Those issues are how do we prevent those sediments from getting in. The town has undertaken in the past 6 years a pipe replacement of the cast iron pipes that were pre-1926. We've got 2 more miles to go. That's going to be coming up in the spring. We're going to be going out to bid in January. We'll start, weather permits, in April. Hopefully have it completed in the summer. But that's not it. You need to go to the wells, because the wells are the source of some of the material, magnesium. And we need to think about putting sand filters to be able to extract that magnesium out. Magnesium gets into the system, and over time, it creates the dark water also. So we're looking at it from different perspectives. There is a capital budget that we're going to be putting together. It's going to be coming out shortly when we start going through the budget process. We've actually published it, about a 5-year capital plan of what needs to be done with our water system. It's certainly aggressive. It's something the town needs to take a look at in future town meetings. We're going to be bringing it through to you. But also, it's going to go through the capital the capital plan committee to take a look at it also. You know, outside of that, I implore you folks to take a look at it, vote this through, because what we're trying to do right now is use the ice pigging to clean up the sediment as well as flushing. The problem with flushing is you can only do it when we have enough water to do it. You can't do it during the low time during the summer. So our hope is to try to use the flushing in the spring and then again in the fall. The downside of flushing as opposed to ice pigging is you're using water to get it out as opposed to the ice. So it's a lot more economical to use the ice pigging in the ice than it would be to flush. But the system does need to be flushed. If we do 25% per year going forward, in time, all the sediment will be taken and eradicated from the system. And obviously, everybody will be very pleased with that. With respect to the position, you know, again, I implore you to consider this. When people call and people are having specific problems, and there are some streets that due to multiple issues. It could be that maybe the pipe is undersized, it could be the fact that there isn't a hydrant on the street. We want to send not the water superintendent out, we want to send somebody who directly has been dealing with this issue on a regular basis, who understands the pipes, understands what's going on, and that's the reason why we're looking at this position. In addition, you know, we're looking at the position to take a look at monitoring and looking over the augmentation of our water reservoir. Right now, we're going through the permitting process to try to increase the weir, or if you will, the dam, in order to create more capacity in our reservoir. And if we're able to do that, that's going to give us another 30 days. By increasing the capacity, we can actually do more flushing. So we need somebody to take a look at that, as well as taking a look at our source wells. You know, presently we're actually trying to bring on a well called the Dolan well. It's not a part of the present aquifer. We have 6 wells that are presently within one aquifer. We're looking to create a 7th one that's focused more on Cohasset. And so we're looking at, you know, obviously this person will be focused on looking at the results and trying to bring that well online, as well as taking a look in the west end as a future well. So there are a lot of things that are moving forward that the board's been looking at as sewer water commissioners, and we believe that this is very important for us to be able to pass this tonight. Aside from that, happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
From the advisory committee, Mr. Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. That was very, very thorough. As Selectman Danny said, there's only really a couple of other points that I think that I can make, which he alluded to, and maybe I'll just expand on them. So the first point is that with ice pigging, which is obviously used in Europe a lot. They have an older infrastructure. There's only one company in the U.S. that has brought that technology over. So I just think we need to give credit to Kevin Cafferty and Sean Anderson for thinking outside the box and speaking with Mr. Boudreau on that and getting that done. The other thing that I thought was telling was when we typically sit down and we meet, we go over the budgets and we speak to different committees, you get a pretty good sense of what their needs are. And when we sat down with Sean and Kevin and town administrator, it was very obvious that there's additional needs. We all know that in the town we have water issues, but there needs to be additional resources, there needs to be additional tools, and I think this kind of gets to both of those. And I think they're really good steps in the right direction in trying to fix the town's water problems. Thank you.
Discussion from the floor. There being no one at the mics, as part of the majority vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. Article 5, on the motion, Selectman Harris.
I move the town authorize the treasurer tomorrow with the approval of the Board of Selectmen pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, or any other applicable law, $1,253,000 to fund repairs of the water treatment plant. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premiums applied to the payment of costs of issuance of said bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the General Laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, Selectman Harris.
This article really must pass. What we're looking to do is construct a temporary bypass with these modern green sand filters the next couple of months. We need to make these repairs in the upcoming months when our demand is low and our supply is high. While these temporary systems in place, we'll be able to make such necessary repairs as written in your booklet, such as rebuilding the sediment tanks, the sand filters, and the track vac system. Put our treatment plant back in service where it needs to be. It's really that simple.
From the advisory committee, Ms. Grantino.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Antino. I'm a member of the advisory board. The comments under the Article 5, I think.
Hold on, Anthony.
I think the comments on the Article 5 are self-explanatory. So I thought what might be interesting to the taxpayer is just how do we process water? What do we do? So I got some information from the water division, and I'd like to bring it to your attention. How does the water go through these filters that we are saying that we're going to replace? All this work that we're planning on doing. So I thought it might be interesting to explain to you how it works. Now, raw water is brought into the treatment plant by 3 low lift pumps. And before it reaches the plant, it's treated with, this came from the water division, so I'm not making it up. So it's treated with potassium hydroxide and aluminum sulfate. Potassium hydroxide is used for pH control, and aluminum sulfate is a coagulant. And after these chemicals are injected the water enters a rapid mixer. It's a mixer. This serves to evenly dispose those chemicals throughout the water. So what I'm trying to explain, it's not a very simple process. It is a very complicated process. The water then enters the plant and flows into 3 sedimentation basins. These basins can be isolated to prevent water from entering the basin. At the beginning of each basin, there is a flocculation chamber which contains a large paddle. These paddles spin slowly, which causes solids in the water to collide and become larger and heavier. The water then leaves this chamber and flows past baffles into a sedimentation basin. So you see the whole process is very complicated at the water treatment plant. At the beginning of the sedimentation basins, the water is treated with chlorine dioxide as the primary disinfectant. So this is disinfecting the water. The water then flows the length of the sedimentation basins as the solids settle to the bottom of the basin. The water then flows through a sand filter. Now we're getting to what the problem is, the sand filters. The sand filter serves to further filter out solids, organics, and bacteria. The water then flows through an activated granular carbon filter, remove odor, taste, color, and turbidity. So it's a very complicated process. We're trying to take out all the impurities in the water to make it good potable drinking water. As the water leaves the carbon filter, it is treated with fluoride, potassium hydroxide, that's for pH control, and liquid chlorine as a post-disinfectant. So we're disinfecting the water after it goes through the system. The water then enters the clear well, where it is pushed into the distribution system by 3 high lift pumps. So it's not a simple process. It's a very complicated process, and it's a very well-run water treatment plant. Now, the water treatment plant, it's called the Old Oaken Bucket Water Treatment Plant. The first plant was built in 1968. It was modified in 1991, and that's when I was DPW director. So any more questions, Mr. Caffey and his crew are here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
That was interesting.
Thank you. Discussion from the floor. There being no one at the mics, because this involves borrowing as a funding source, it requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. Article 6.
I move that the town authorize the treasurer to borrow, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, or any other applicable law, $4 million to fund the design, engineering, and permitting of repairs to foreshore structures and construction, if funds permit, caused by the recent storms, including the declared disasters, 2012 storm, which was Sandy, 2013 blizzard, which we call Nemo, 2015 blizzard, Juno, and the blizzard of 2018, Blizzard Riley. Further, that such borrowing is to be reduced by the reimbursements received from FEMA prior to the issuance of any bonds or notes. Any premium received upon sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, unless any such premium applied to the payment of costs of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote, in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the General Laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount.
Been moved. Is there a second? Again, seconded. Discussion. Selectman Harris.
A favorable vote of this article enables the town to enter into a partnership with FEMA to design, engineer, and permit, possibly construct systems to better protect our town for future storms. As an example of this can be seen at such as like Sand Hills Beach, where the seawall was raised by 2 feet, and the base of the wall on either side, the ocean side and the back side, there was an armor stone in place. So it's not only the 4-foot wall that got replaced, but it went up 2 feet, and it's reinforced with concrete. And finally, as stated in the advisory committee, well, that FEMA will reimburse the town 75% of this project.
On the advisory committee, Chairman Hyman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As Selectman Harris said, this is the match of the town's required match in order to attract FEMA and MEMA money. It's approaching the end of a very long process, which a lot of town employees have put a lot of effort into, including Fire Chief Murphy, Finance Director Holt, and they certainly deserve a lot of kudos for that. The advisory committee is in support of it. I think one thing that the advisory committee has had conversations with the town administrator, at least some of the selectmen, and certainly I think want to continue to have that conversation, is that while these funds are for the reconstruction of existing seawalls, there's certainly, I think, a need going forward as we send more funds and more monies to the town seawalls to think outside the box a little bit and figure out how we as a town are going to more effectively and proactively address what climate change is doing to our communities. So thinking outside the box in terms of, for example, having water retention areas like is done in Europe and elsewhere in the world in the harbor, protect our business district rather than simply looking at existing seawalls and rebuilding them. So while this is certainly needed, I know there's certainly a desire on the part of the advisory committee from a financial perspective to look at a longer term plan. So again, the advisory committee is in favor of this and unanimously supports its passage.
Discussion from the floor. There is no one at the microphones. Because this involves borrowing, it requires a 2/3 vote by state law. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. Article 7. Selectman Kennedy.
I move that the town authorize, I move that the town act on the recommendations of the Community Preservation Committee to appropriate the sums of money as indicated below. All such sums appropriated are further to be expended subject to all terms and conditions of the applications regarding such projects filed with the CPC and the votes of the CPC regarding approval of such items. Number 1, 80,000 from fiscal year 2019 estimated receipts for the improvements at Roachfield. Number 2, 270,000 from fiscal year 2019 estimated receipts to replace the playground at Wampatuck School. 500,000, number 3, 500,000 from open space reserve for the acquisition of Sunset Road First Cliff property. Number 4, 109,000 from fiscal year 2019 estimated receipts for the acquisition of Sunset Road First Cliff property.
It's been moved. Second. Before we get into discussion, what I want to do is, I just want to assist the presenters, I want to get a sense of which of these that you want to hear the most about. So, I'll call off each of the 4 items, and you can find them on page 89 of your advisory committee. And you can just say, go ahead and say hold, we won't really be holding it, but just say hold anyway. If it's something that you really want to hear a lot about, if it's something you're not as interested in hearing a lot about, well, we'll be able to gauge that. So, number 1, the Roachfield. Okay. Number 2, playground at Wampatuck School. Number 3, Sunset Road and First Cliff. Okay, so we want to hear a little more about that. And number 4, acquisition of Sunset Road First Cliff property. Oh, so I think we have a sense of what people want to hear about, so Selectman Canfield, tell us.
I move that the town act on recommendations from the Community Preservation Committee to appropriate the sums of money as indicated below. All such sums appropriated.
Yeah, Karen, I think you already did that, so. No, just tell us about, tell the people why you want them to buy this stuff.
Okay, sorry. So I would suggest that we combine number 1 and number 2, Roachfield and the playground.
Well, people seem to want to hear the most about number 3, the Sunset Road.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to dispense the first 2 first.
No.
No? Oh, okay. All consideration pertain to the property on Sunset Road, which many of you know as the McDonald Farm. The reason there are two items is because the funding will be drawn from both open space reserve account and from estimated fiscal 19 receipts. The total request is $609,000 and includes a maximum purchase price of $599,000. The rest of the funds are for title, conservation, and other acquisition fees. This will purchase almost 5 acres of land on First Cliff and bordering the harbor. This is when you look out across from Front Street, you see that beautiful undeveloped piece of property. There should be, I think a lot of you got a handout that shows exactly the parcel. The application has been supported by the Wildlands Trust, NOAA, and numerous towns and boards and committees. The acquisition is consistent with the criteria set forth in Community Preservation Act for open space goals, is totally aligned with the town of Scituate goals of protecting open space, especially environmentally sensitive sites, enhancing recreation and educational opportunities, and encouraging economic development. How will this property achieve these goals? First, the site is the last remaining parcel on the Scituate coastline. It has 600 feet of uninterrupted beach along the inner harbor. It not only abuts town-owned open space, but also the Noah Stellwagen Marine Sanctuary. By assembling this parcel, the town has the opportunity to not only protect this environmentally sensitive area, but to create a unique opportunity to expand education goals and tourism in the harbor. NOAA, we have representatives here tonight, have been working with the applicants to explore the many potential educational opportunities access to this site can provide our community. Envisioned is an environmentally sensitive trail system which includes markers describing wildlife, coastal ecology, and our town historic site information. To date, NOAA and private donors have pledged over $13,000 for this effort, and the Wildlands Trust has put up a fundraising page with a goal of raising another $60,000 towards improvements on the site. Of note, this farm is a significant site for our Irish mossing industry. The property has not changed hands since the 1800s, and it's one of the last remaining undisturbed historic sites in our town. In summary, this acquisition meets at least 4 of the key CPC goals. 1, to improve public access to existing conservation and recreation lands. 2, to protect rare, unique, and endangered wildlife habitat. And 3, preserve the town's natural character. And 4, enhance the quality and variety of passive and active recreational opportunities for all age groups and ability. And Mr. Moderator, if we have time, there is a video that has been prepared that will better illuminate sort of the benefits of this parcel.
All those in favor of watching a 2.5-minute video, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
All right, so tee it up.
Like one of those Scandinavian movies where you just kind of focus on one image.
We're working on it. Folks, you should know that this video is available if you go on YouTube and put in McDonald Preserve. You'll be able to see it if you want to see it in your own computer, in case this doesn't work.
She's saying, she's saying.
Irish coming to this country. We would play with all the neighborhood kids here, like this whole area, and we would play manhunt, and it'd be great. Like, I love coming here and seeing all the My name is Mary Ann McDonald Jenkins, and I grew up here in Scituate, and my family settled here in the 1800s. My great-great-grandfather, James McDonald, discovered Irish moss up here. And the land here was used as a place to dry the moss, gather the moss, sow it in batches, and it started a large industry here for the Irish coming to this country. We would play with all the neighborhood kids here, like this whole area, and we would play manhunt, and it'd be great. Like, I love coming here and seeing all the driftwood and the things that would wash out after storms. And it's such a really magical, wonderful place to explore.
I've been enjoying this march for years since I was a kid right into adulthood. I enjoy it all year long. Each season holds something special for me here. Snowy owls, I photograph, red-tailed hawks, the art bird light that comes down here so I can watch. There's just great opportunities year-round.
I've been working here for 19 years in Noah-Stallwagon Bay National Sanctuary, and I've come to fall in love with this piece of property right here on Scituate Harbor. And I saw an opportunity for a connection between the town and this beautiful open space.
Having this land open to everybody in Scituate would be so beneficial because we could use it for recreational uses like fishing, walking, bringing school groups out here to teach them about the wildlife and the open natural land that we have.
Preserving these many acres of open space not only provides opportunity for people to come walk and enjoy some protection for wildlife, but makes an amazing backdrop to downtown Scituate.
What this parcel will be able to do is to give these people a destination that's a very natural part of the seacoast of Scituate. You can walk on the beach, you can watch the sunset right over the harbor, you can collect shells, you can walk the upper meadows, and you can enjoy the quiet of Scituate Harbor from a very natural, undeveloped standpoint. It is one of the last remaining open space parcels in all the towns around. There's very little like this left.
This beautiful, unique piece of property has been here since the beginning of time, untouched. Be nice to keep it that way for generations to come.
Moderator, the Board of Selectmen approved this motion with a vote of 4 to 1.
From the advisory committee, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. It's funny they chose me to speak about this one because I was probably the most negative when we were talking about it in the meeting. The big issue is just like, one, we have a lot of open space, and two, how do you value it? What's it worth to anybody? And this piece of property was a little bit, had some issues in particular because can there be a house built there? Can there be 2 houses built there? Can no houses be built there? So they went and they did some evaluations and they've done some appraisals and it came down to, okay, if one house could be there, do you still want it? Do you not want it? I mean, at what point do we say, okay, we'd rather have no houses there and keep it open for everybody? I actually went and walked the property with another person from advisory and looked at it and I was like, okay, we bought a lot of land over on the west side. This is right on the harbor. I don't necessarily know if I want to look at how the houses going up or walk right closer to what they are. So it came down to, I think for the town, this is one of the last pieces of property in the ocean. We can do something with it and everybody can use it. It's working. I mean, that's what the CPC funds are for. That's what open space is for. So shockingly, I'm usually against every piece of property that we buy, but this one I will say, I think we should buy it just so it's our last chance. I mean, kids, 3 generations from now can use it. So the project was unanimous 6-0 support this article.
All right, discussion from the floor, gentlemen, with the center aisle.
Tony Jones, 128 Wilson Road. I do not stand in opposition to this. In fact, I really hope that the town goes to buy it. I'm here really just to point out something that I think I remember about maybe 5 or 10 years ago. This piece of property came up before the Conservation Commission, and it's my understanding that it was deemed to be unbuildable, and thus the value of the property obviously is reduced. I would hope that in the appraisal that this is taken into consideration, because the amount of money that we're putting out for this property is quite substantial, and I would like to see the town use their money wisely. Thank you.
You don't have. Lady to my right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Aurora Avalone. I'm a junior here at Scituate High School. I'm a non-voter, but I'm very much in favor of this project.
Okay, well, just remember at the beginning, I think we said, well, assume the consent that non-voters can speak. Here well, she is a non-voter. She's only 16. Go ahead. What am I talking about?
So I just wanted to say I love being involved in my community. I'm a Girl Scout. I'm the oldest Girl Scout in Scituate. I volunteer for the Recreation Department, the Course Foundation, which is the community of resources for special education. I have an older sister with autism, and I really enjoy volunteering for our town. I also volunteer with Scituate Bank National Marine Sanctuary, which is how I got involved in this amazing project. And I just wanted to say I feel it's a great opportunity for our town to keep one of our last natural resource parcels within our town for kids like me who could go learn about the ecological benefits and the wildlife and the birds that we have there and the vegetation, and to just take a moment and stand there and just take in the beauty that is our town. Not many kids get to grow up on the ocean, so I feel very fortunate being able to grow up here and have this opportunity. So if we could keep this for other generations, I feel it would be such a great opportunity for everybody, and we could also use it for public uses, recreational uses like fishing, walking. You could go boating and just be able to see it from there, and also it would create a great benefit for our town and have tourism and have people and students from other towns come in and see how beautiful our town is. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, I have to stop myself from applauding because I'm not allowed to applaud. But you know what, in an era where it looks like civics is dead, to have a 16-year-old kid, yeah, you're a kid, get up and give such a cogent argument, I mean, whether you're for or against it, it's really excellent to present. Okay, now I'm going to applaud. Which one of you got up first? Oh, you're a sportsman. Lady to my right.
Jay Gervis, 295 Country Way. I also support this article. My question is what assurance do we have that this is going to stay open? What's beautiful about it is that it's a marsh that hasn't been trampled down. There's a nice shelf beach that hasn't been trashed.
I'm going to ask my elementary school classmate, Jay Gervis's question. Is there going to be a conservation restriction placed on the property? Come on, tell them what we will.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Meyerson. I'm the chairman of CPC. There will be a conservation restriction placed on the property, so there will remain open space.
May I ask a follow-up question? And when will that conservation restriction be placed?
As soon as it's possible. I mean, it's really up to Wildlands Trust after this gets passed.
Okay.
The paper's passed.
Thank you.
Gracious gentleman to my left.
Mark Fenton, 25 Crescent Ave. I'd just like to point out that as a former member and chair of the Planning Commission, I would be very cautious about assuming that there's not at least one buildable parcel out there. My observation, the oversight and my experience over the years here at Scituate is, as land becomes less and less available for development, we find ways to develop further and further into precarious locations, and I think this is very vulnerable. I think it's worth every nickel to protect this for the benefit of the community. I'd further say that the appraisal process takes that into account, so that to make sure that we aren't overpaying, the appraisers have to look at the buildability of the lot and build that into their appraised value. So the town has some protection through that required process. Finally, I'd like to point out that my family's been very actively involved with NOAA and educational programming, and I think they will be wonderful partners and stewards in making sure that this is open only for passive recreation, not heavily developed, perhaps boardwalks and pathways at the very, very most, but entirely in concert with the natural environment there. And it's an invaluable asset for our young people, as was pointed out so eloquently, to have access to this kind of environment for education around the marine environment and coastal settings. So I really urge the company to support this. This is exceptionally important and high value to all of us. Thank you.
So, seeing no one else at the microphones, I think we're ready for a vote. Now remember, Selectman Canfield made a motion that covered items 1, 2, 3, and 4 as shown on page 8 and 9 of your advisory board book. So, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared unanimous. At this point, I want to thank John Caparuco, who is doing our sound, who did everything but play piano on that video. So, John, thank you. Selectman King.
I move that the town amend the general bylaws by adding a new section 32070 entitled Plastic Bag Reduction Bylaw as printed in the town warrant.
Moved. Second. Discussion.
This article is thoroughly described in the advisory book and in the warrant. Would amend our town bylaws in order to reduce the common use of single-use plastic bags in Scituate. As most of you know, the use of these bags has serious consequences in land and marine pollution and long-term sustainability of our natural resources. As a coastal community, we have not only seen the aesthetic impact of these bags, but the impact on our marine animals as they float in the ocean. Single-use plastic bags are made from fossil fuels, which you probably don't know, and they contribute to the production of climate-changing carbon dioxide. They eventually break down to microplastics and they end up in our own food chain. As for recycling, our own recycling center cannot take these bags, and in fact, only about 2% of these types of bags are even recycled every year. This effort has been researched in depth by Sustainable South Shore Committee and under the leadership of our representative, Lisa Scanlon, I think is here tonight. As part of their outreach, they've already spoken to our biggest retail users of these bags. Their feedback is that the business community supports this effort and has been in discussion with Sustainable South Shore to come up with canvas bag marketing in support of both the reduction of plastic bag dependence and also to promote local businesses. Over 85 communities in Massachusetts have passed similar bylaws concerning single-use plastic bag reduction, including most of our neighbors. The Board of Selectmen unanimously support this motion.
From the advisory committee, Patrice Metro.
This article seeks to amend the general bylaws by adding a new section 32070, which would reduce the common use of plastic checkout bags to encourage the use of reusable bags by consumers, thereby reducing local land and marine pollution, advancing solid waste reduction, protecting the town's unique natural beauty and irreplaceable natural resources, and improving the quality of life for the citizens of the town. The bylaw will take effect on March 1st, 2019. Stores would only be able to provide checkout for product bags which are reusable, with stitched-on handles and a minimum of 175 uses. They have to be recyclable or compostable. A store is defined as any commercial enterprise selling goods
food or services directly to the public, whether for or not for profit, including but not limited to convenience and grocery stores, markets, restaurants, pharmacies, liquor stores, takeout food purveyors, and merchandise retailers. The food pantry would not be subject to this article as it is not a commercial enterprise. The town administrator and board of health would be responsible for enforcing the law, and the penalties for violations would range from a written warning for first violation to $300 for fourth and subsequent violations. The advisory committee recommends approval of this article, and there was a 5-to-1 majority vote in the advisory committee.
Discussion from the floor. Lady to my right.
Hi, my name is Becky Malman, 195 Peter Road. Fully in support of the article. I noticed that there were some specifics about the reusable bags, and I wonder if you could provide specifics about recyclable bags as well, that the weight of the paper bags was of a certain weight, that they might have handles, ways to help the implementation of this ban be a little bit easier for customers. I've been watching it happen in some of our surrounding towns and noticing some issues that people are having. It might be easier for some of the retailers as well.
Could you just move a little closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was too loud. So you're basically just talking about the implementation of the ban. There were specifics as to what constituted a reusable bag, and I was wondering if there's a way to add specifics to what constituted a recyclable bag for paper bags, specifically the weight of the bag, handles, things of that nature that just might make it easier to make the transition.
Thanks, Greg. I think I got most of that. I think, Mr. Moderator, I'd like Lisa Scanlon to come up. She has thoroughly researched this and I think answer more specifically.
Ms. Scanlon to answer this previous speaker's question. At least if you just tell her your address.
Lisa Scanlon, 15 Paul Thurlow. Yes, the reusable aspect of the bags is a minimum of 175 uses for the bag. So it can be reused again 175 times at minimum. As far as the paper bag, it's 40% recyclable. So that was the limitation.
40% recyclable content.
Yes.
Hold on. You can't go back and forth. Because number one, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
It's
also loud.
Thanks. Well, go ahead. We'll take that. Gentleman to my right and then gentleman to the center.
Jersey 14 Avenue Drive. In referencing the definition of product bag, are product bags equally problematic as single-use plastic checkout bags?
So, could you just restate the question maybe a little closer to the mic? Good, just tilt it up a little bit.
In referencing the definition of product bag that's in the article, I'm asking, are product bags equally problematic as single-use plastic checkout bags?
Ms. Scanlon, do you want to answer that?
I think you're referring to the little plastic bags that you put stuff in the grocery store. Is that product bag?
Yes.
Yeah. Lisa, do you want to address that? Or, I mean, they're separate from this.
There is a separate focus on those, but yes, we agree that those are just as negative to the environment.
Mr. Moderator, I don't know how appropriate or what method would be, but if they are equally problematic and the goal is to reduce the plastic bags in the environment, should the article be withdrawn and restated for all plastic bags?
Well, thank God there are a variety of possibilities. One, if you think that the article is defective, you can vote against. Another possibility is coming forward with an appropriate amendment that would address the deficiency that you see in it. Of course, I'd have to see that in writing to know whether it was within the scope of the article. Though that's your range of possibilities. Okay, gentleman, center mic.
Yes, I just wanted to express some concern about this bylaw because bags that will be replacing the plastic bags will have handles like a shopping bag. And right now, Cohasset has a current law. Since it went into effect the 1st of November, I gave up shopping at Shaw's, and now shop at Village Marketplace down in the harbor, because I can get my groceries safely in without dropping them all over the yard on my way to the house. I think there has to be some serious thought about the drafting of this bylaw and the way it impacts the citizens. Thank you.
Gentleman,
Mr. Moderator, John Wicker, 594 Country Way. At the top of page 13, second paragraph states, stores would only be able to provide checkout and product bags which are reusable with stitched-on handles and a minimum of 175 uses, recyclable or compostable. Recently, as was mentioned, Cohasset has implemented a bylaw similar to this. And so when we shop, Shaw's, Stop and Shop, CVS, and so forth, our products are put in what you might call traditional grocery store brown bags, the bags that have been used since we were children. My question for the proponents of this article, or perhaps the selectmen, are stores going to be able to use brown bags similar to what are now being given out in Cohasset or not? It would seem that they can only give out kind of the plastic fabric bags with stitched-on handles that you use over and over. And I'm just asking for clarification.
to answer the question.
The way that this is written, I believe, and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, yes, paper bags will be allowed, and that because they are recyclable and compostable. Yes. Paper bag.
Good. The kind of brown bags that are being used in our sister community are traditional brown bags, no handles. They definitely can't be used 175 times. The last one I brought home already worked a hole in itself. The second paragraph seems to be referring to those really nice bags you buy at Trader Joe's for $1.50 or sometimes at the other grocery stores that last over and over. And I don't, where in here does it say that stores are allowed to give out paper bags?
So if you look on the first page under the definition of recyclable paper bag, it says it has to be 100% recyclable, and it describes the content under which the bag needs to be made, but it's still a paper bag. That, you know, the bylaw encourages that it has to be out of recycled material, but it's definitely a paper bag. Does that answer your question?
No, because I read the second paragraph on page 13, and I wonder if maybe we should amend this article right now tonight and drop that out of this article, because it seems to be saying nothing but fabric bags with handles stitched on it that can take 175 uses. Those are clearly not paper bags. See, I think you seem to have a conflict in this article. I'm not necessarily against this. It just, in my view, it's a little confusing. I've got to clarify that.
So I think it's clear, but I didn't have the numbers on my page. Thank you, Mr. Town Administrator. Under use regulations where it says, which is number 3 on 22, if a store provides products bags to the customer that comply with the requirements of either reusable, recyclable, or compostable, which were the defined on the earlier, which included the paper bags.
But then they're further defined by paragraph 2 on page 13, which is very restrictive. And you don't want to have loose ends in an article like this, you can cause some trouble.
I think the confusion is, are you reading the advisory warrant or the actual wording of the bylaw?
Okay, yeah, I'll read the comments in the advisory report.
I would refer you to the full text in the warrant, which has all of the bylaws, because I think it's pretty well defined.
So if we disregard ignore paragraph 2 on page 13 because it's not accurate. Is that what we're saying?
The advisory is a summary of what the warrant is. It's a very long bylaw change, and I think there was great care put in to make sure that all the parts align with each other. So I would encourage you to read the actual language of the bylaw and answer any questions about that. The advisory booklet is intended to be a summary of this information, so I apologize if it's confusing because...
Okay. I guess we can talk about that.
Gentlemen to my left.
Good evening. Steve Tassini, 138 Vernon Road. Now, I'm no 16-year-old junior, so bear with me here as I get through a couple of thoughts here. I guess I'm, like most people in the room, I suspect, we're very happy to get rid of as much plastic as we can in our environment, but I'm still going to challenge this a bit. And I have a few reasons to share with you. The first one, when you think about this, we go to a grocery store and we're forbidding this from being taken from the grocery store in the future. I understand that. But at that same grocery store, if I have to go and decide I'm going to take my trash to the dump, I have to buy a plastic bag from that grocery store. Both are thin film plastic bags, and the hypocrisy of that bothers me a little bit. Having said that, I also get concerned about what happens to these versus what happens to these. Now, we know the bad stuff that we all are talking about that happens to these. But why aren't we doing better with the recycling of these? These are 100% recyclable. Why are we only recycling 2%? Seems to me a really strong recycling effort, and I know recycling can be hard. Plastic like this is a lot easier to recycle than plastic like this, but it can be done. It might take more work, it might be harder, but it can be done, and it will do a lot more to rid the environment of plastic. Because when you're done with this, it ends up in a landfill. Not our landfill. Our landfill's covered. It lands in somebody else's, or it gets incinerated eventually. And what do we do with this? What do we do with the plastic that's in your home that isn't a plastic bag? It's going to end up in this, and it's going to end up in a landfill. What I'd rather see us do is recycle all of those plastic bags. Do a better job of recycling the bags, just like we do a pretty good job recycling the harder plastic. So that's my challenge. I'm not necessarily against it. I just think, personally, I think there's a better way to go about it. I wish I had a better answer on how to make recycling more than 2%, but that's what I think we should be doing.
David Mitchell, 39 Avenue. The gentleman was talking about recyclable brown paper bags. I'd like to offer an amendment.
Could you move just a little closer to the microphone?
About 2 inches from it right now. With respect to the gentleman earlier was talking about handles on brown paper bags, I would like to offer an amendment that adds on page 11 to the definition of recyclable paper bag to say with handles.
Okay, we'll need to see that in writing. That's a motion to amend. I beg your pardon?
It's like I'm a point of order because in the bylaw stated it less than 6 words.
Whoa.
Right?
Slow down.
Is that true? No.
Slow down. Okay, you've made a motion to amend. Is there a second? Okay. It's been a motion to amend. You're going to put your motion in writing. And it's been seconded. Discussion on your motion. Go ahead.
I'll be happy to put it in writing, but it's my understanding from reading the bylaws at the beginning that anything that's less than 6 words doesn't need to be in writing. But I have to do it.
I'll be waiting for your motion in writing.
Okay.
Continue.
That's all I have to say. I just want to make a motion.
Okay, you can bring your motion in writing forward.
Great, thank you.
Discussion on, well, first we're going to see the proposed amendment because discussion is going to be limited to the amendment.
Mr. Moderator, over here to your left.
For what purpose do you speak?
Rick Murray, 16 Colony Road. I just have a question about that motion. I'm not sure to what it's referring.
All right, you have a point of order. So state your point of order, please.
I'm just curious, the motion was about amending the definition. I don't know if the definition is actually part of the bylaw or not.
I embrace your point, which is why I want to see it in writing. It's not clear what it is that the gentleman's motion is, and I think we'll see it in writing. I'll read it to you, and then we will speak here today on the proposed amendment. All right, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Winters, for indulging me. So the amendment, if you turn to your advisory committee handbook and turn to page 11, and then go down, halfway down the page, you'll see a definition of, this answers your question about this is the definition. You'll see a definition of recyclable paper bag. Then it goes on for 5 lines. Recyclable paper bag halfway down. At the very end, in line 5 of the definition, Mr. Winters has moved to amend the main motion by adding the words to this definition and includes handles. So those are the 3 words that Mr. Winters wishes to add. It's been moved, it's been seconded. Discussion on the proposed amendment as to the advisability of adding the words and includes handles to the definition of recyclable paper bag. I can't hear a word you're saying. Okay, right up there.
My name is Heather Jenkins. I live on 22 Sunset Road. As far as the amendment, I think it's unnecessary. This is more of things for the stores. If you have problems with paper bags in your hand, you should bring it to the store that you're buying it from. I mean, Village Market has paper bags with handles. I actively, when I have the option, go for those bags. I work for this amendment simply because they start bagging in plastic before I can say paper, so I don't think we need this amendment.
Anyone else on the amendment?
Sir.
Gentleman of the Senate.
To follow up my previous comments, the amendment...
Could you tell us who you are again?
Yes, I'm sorry, sir. David O'Connor, 13 Grasshopper Lane.
Thank you.
And the amendment proposed by the gentleman would considerably alleviate my concerns about the impact of this bylaw upon senior citizens and those with limited mobility.
Anyone else on the amendment? All right. Oh, okay, gentlemen, all right.
Ben Bornstein, 99 First Parish Road. While I'm in favor of this article, I'm not necessarily in favor of the amendment because there are businesses currently in town that give recyclable paper bags that do not have handles, for instance, package stores. And I don't think that it's appropriate that we impact them with this new requirement when they're already using recyclable paper bags currently. Thanks.
On the amendment, gentlemen.
Mark McCormick, 261 Gannett Road. Concerning this amendment, I think it's unnecessary. I prefer the definition is already printed here.
Gentleman of the Senate.
Bernie Westerveld, Harvard Road. When I grew up in Europe, you had to bring your own bags to the store. Otherwise, you had to carry it in your hands. The paper bags in the supermarket, I recognize the gentleman's problem about having trouble carrying them. Therefore, I bring my own shopping bag to the store with handles. Problem solved.
On the amendment, here's that. Lady Clement.
On the amendment.
Oh.
Scott Green,
Scott, my apologies if I missed you.
Well,
I've recognized the lady to the right. If you wear brown, you're blended with the bleachers, so you don't stand out as much.
No,
I'm sorry. Lady to my right.
Ann Burbine, 10 Pennycrest Road. I move the question.
Scott, gotcha. Okay, now the motion pertains only to the amendment, which is to add the words "and includes handles" to the definition of recycled bag. Moving the question requires a 2/3 vote. I'm going to assume the consent of the meeting, except for Scott, to move right to the question. So let's just vote on the amendment. Adding those words requires a majority vote. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. All those opposed? No. If any 7 people wish to challenge my determination that the amendment fails, state aye. Oh, sorry, that was a bad joke. All right, we return to the main motion, which is the bylaw as presented by Selectman Canfield. Now, there was a bunch of you that wanted to talk. John Person tonight.
Mary Lou Butler, 38 Roses Lane. I move the question.
I could have told you. All right, well, in this case, a motion to move the question is a motion to terminate debate. It requires a 2/3 vote to pass. All those in favor of terminating debate at this time signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted, declared unanimous. We now come to the main motion as originally presented by Selectman Canfield. General bylaws, such as this, requires a majority vote. All those in favor of the bylaw as moved by Selectman Canfield signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So voted and declared passed by a majority vote. And just so those of you who are wondering about when plastic bags go away, clerk has to certify the vote to the Attorney General, who then has 90 days to review and approve it, and upon review and approval, the publication in the local newspaper will take effect. Okay, so next is, we did Article 9 already. We did Article 10. Which was it? So we did Article 11, and Selectman Vignani was kind enough to tell me that Article 12 was next. Selectman Vignani.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And I want to thank whoever that one person was that held this article. My other three were passed unanimously in the first one. Thank you. The motion is, I move that the town amend the income limit for Mass General Law, Chapter 59, subsection 5, clause 41A, to the maximum income limit amount in the state circuit breaker tax credit for the single taxpayers effective for deferrals granted for the fiscal year beginning on or after July 1st, 2018.
It's been moved and seconded. Tony, Gigi Maraki, so you can thank her.
Thank you. Chapter 59 allows people to defer their tax payments. And what this article is doing is it's allowing one of the requirements, which is the amount of income that you earn, to be raised from $40,000 to $58,000. This is just a deferral of the payments, so a person can defer these payments to the town, and then the town will then get the money when they sell their house. The town gets the money with 8% interest. The town has there's another requirement in the general law that says you can't defer more than 50% of the value of your house. And the other requirement of this is that you have to be first in line at the first position in terms of lending. So your bank has to allow the town to go before you in terms of getting paid when you sell your house. That being said, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously in support of this motion, for this article.
From the Advisory Committee, Elise Russo.
Good evening, I'm Elise Russo. As has been said, this is pertaining to those people senior citizens who can defer their property taxes, no more than 50% of the value of the property. There is an income test only with this requirement, and we seek to increase the minimum income to maximum income, to $58,000 a year. The note will be due upon the sale of the property, and as the first lien holders, we believe that there is nothing at risk here. We will be receiving 8% interest on this, which is very generous relative to interest rates now. And I wanted to add that last year, 10 residents were able to avail themselves of this opportunity. We think it could potentially double for this if this is passed. However, it is tricky because of the first lien requirements. So this means that the person can't have a mortgage, can't get a reverse mortgage, etc. The advisory committee supported this unanimously. We think it's the right thing to do for our seniors. Thank you.
Gentleperson to my left.
Gigi Moraki, 67 Pilgrim Drive. First of all, I want to thank town officials for doing this, for increasing the maximum allowable income level. I think seniors, some seniors will certainly take advantage of this, and it's more than welcome. I just have a quick question about the interest rate. Some of our surrounding neighboring towns, interest rates are 4%, 2%, 1%. Was there any consideration given to bringing this in at a little bit lower interest rate?
To answer the question, Madam.
We took these first three low-hanging fruits for people to look at. We want to see what the impact of them are on our overlay surplus and what people are actually doing. And then we're going to come back in the spring. Actually, we hope more tax relief, possibly looking at lowering the interest rate. But we wanted to stay very simple with a special town meeting and then add to that as we go along.
Great, thank you.
There being no one else at the mics, all those in favor of the motion offered by Selectman Vignani signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? So voted and declared passed by unanimous vote. Article 13, this is a petitioned article, so we want the petitioner to I apologize. Selectman Curran is going to make the motion for the petitions.
Good evening. I move that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to research, develop, and participate in a community choice aggregation program, including contract for electric supply for Scituate residents and businesses as per Mass General Law, Chapter 164, Paragraph 134, or otherwise act thereon. This includes authorizing the town administrator to establish and/or appoint representatives for a committee to oversee such independent action and to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the same.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This was brought before the board by the Scituate Sustainable Committee. And Scituate actually has been a leader in green initiatives for many years, and this is one more way in which we can support our environment. Typically in Massachusetts, residents and businesses receive their utility basic supply by default. Communities with community aggregation contracts can contract for rates and renewable energy content with competitive suppliers. So what this article is doing is it's authorizing the town to move forward in the exploration of an aggregation program for renewable energy content with competitive suppliers. So what is community choice aggregation? It's a program that allows towns and cities to provide residents with an option to switch everyone who is on a basic electrical supplier over to an electrical supplier from a cleaner energy source. Gets a little confusing, but basically what this does is it allows us to hire a broker to negotiate better rates from clean energy sources such as hydro and wind suppliers. So it doesn't impact our electrical distributors, which is National Grid and Eversource, depending upon where you live in Scituate. That will remain the same. What it does, it allows us to negotiate the type of supply that the distributor ultimately distributes to our homes. Our goal will be to secure rates that are equal or better to the current basic default rate. The contract would be reviewed and then discussed by the board in a public meeting, and the default rate on your electric bill would automatically default to that new negotiated rate. All plans, if passed by the BOS, and if this article moves forward this evening, all plans would need to be reviewed by the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities before anything would be implemented. One of the concerns that some of the board members had was that through the contract process, once the rate is determined and accepted, that default price automatically goes into effect. Residents would have to opt out of the plan, and you can opt out in or out of those renewable plans at your leisure. Today, many residents throughout town have already chosen to utilize renewable suppliers through their own providers. But by aggregating our power together, as a town, we can provide residents with an opportunity for better rates and better options for green energy solutions. Residents can benefit by receiving lower costs for power with a higher green power content. And the Board of Selectmen approves the recommendation of this motion by a vote of 4-1.
From the advisory committee, Mr. Jared Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you to the petitioner for bringing this article. This is a companion article with article number 14. The reason why we're considering this is the Massachusetts Global Warming Solutions Act of 2008, in which we set a goal for emission reductions of 25% by 2020 and 80% by 2050. The primary method of meeting these reductions in global greenhouse gases is one, energy efficiency, and second, greening of the grid. We're not the first town to consider this. Melrose was. They opted to go with this in 2016 and implemented a 5% renewable mandate for their electric provider. Brookline had 25%. Lexington approved it in 2017 with the goal eventually of moving to 100%. Why do we do this? Lexington did a study and found that of their global greenhouse gas emissions, 44% were caused by electricity, 28% by transportation. Other towns that are continuing to take a look at this include, I'll just do some highlights here. They're primarily in southeastern Massachusetts. Acushnet, Attleboro, Carver, Dartmouth, Dayton, Drake, Fairhaven, Fall River, Freetown, Marion, Mattapoisett, New Bedford, Norton, Plainville, Rehoboth, Seacon, Somerset, Swansea, Westport, and Westford, and others in the process include Winchester, Somerville, Cambridge, Watertown, Newton, Greenfield, and Boston. So we're not an outlier here. I think Selectman Curran gave a very good summary of this. I'd like to just talk to a personal experience. My daughter last summer moved into an apartment in Lowell, and she was faced with the decision. And upon reviewing her electric bill, the green option was not less expensive than the basic service. It was more expensive. So people could be facing an increase in their electric bill but have the opportunity to opt out. If we take a look over the next 15 to 20 years, it's projected that renewables will be less expensive than carbon-based energy. 8 cents per kilowatt hour for renewables, 10 cents for coal, 11 cents for nuclear. Having said that, the advisory committee voted 6-0 in support of this article.
Discussion from the floor. Go to the mic, Bernie. Lady at the center.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Bertola, 52 Elm Street, Scituate, and I am one of the petitioners of this article. I just want to thank the previous speakers who did an excellent job summarizing what this is all about and providing testimony about the necessity for this and our obligation to be a responsible community. The motivation for this, I just wanted to point out, is that as a community, I feel like it's time to look at our local choices and our local officials, governing officials who do an excellent job, and put some trust in them compared to a privately held utility that is mandated to provide power. Lots of communities are doing this successfully. So I think that's one of the motivations, that the trust is here in Scituate. We are a poster child town for the devastation caused by climate change. We make the headlines, international headlines, at every storm. It would be time to get a headline for being forward-thinking and doing the right thing. Secondly, the other big motivation for this was that there is a blueprint. The legislation, we are one of 8 states in the country that has this opportunity. We have this legislation in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's a fantastic opportunity to use our collective power to purchase power off-season when power rates are cheaper. The utility cannot do that. They are restricted when they can go out to bid. That's why we have a competitive edge when we go out to bid for the power. And secondly, to the point of finances and rates and competitiveness, in this warrant alone this evening, you saw and approved transfers of funds, millions of dollars, to repair storm damages. The bill that is not covered by FEMA funds in 2017 is around $5 million to the town. That is on us, taxpayers. So if we want to talk about rates for power, I urge you to also consider the long-term financial implications of not reining in carbon pollution. I am here motivated for my 3 children, for your nieces and nephews, children, grandchildren. Scituate High School kids are wanting to see a yes vote on this tomorrow morning. I urge you to vote yes, and thank you.
Gentleman at the side.
Bernie Westerveld, Harborview Road. I get several phone calls every week from companies offering me green electricity. None of them offer me cheaper green electricity. I would commend the town if they would commit to buying in bulk and ensuring us that the price will be the same as we pay now or cheaper, because the town has to be able to do that. Can we amend the article in some way that it assures us that the cost of electricity does not go up?
Bernie, if there were an amendment that would make those robocalls go to one of the selectmen rather than me, I'd vote for it. Hope you're involved here. Okay. No, I don't think we can really do that in the scope of this article. Yeah, go ahead.
Those type of issues would be actually during the contract process. What this article is doing tonight is actually authorizing us to move forward with the exploration of it. So we definitely, the board talked quite a bit about this. If you want to go back and look at our meeting, it's a great TV. We discussed that, like, that our intent, it really is to keep it equal to or less than what your basic utility fee would be going through brown power instead of green power.
Gentleman versus Mount.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Phyllis Carver, 26 Hughes Road. Could we hear from the one Board of Selectmen member that voted, that was opposed to this?
Selectman Harris. Come on now. I think that's called a perm walk.
This is not the first time that I've been standing alone Board of Selectmen advisory. It was about 20 years ago, it's at that end. I love the idea of it. The only thing that stuck in my mind was, we're doing it, or 200 people are going to do it for everyone in town. If it was the opposite, if we could sell this to say, you have to opt out of this. That's what I didn't like. I didn't want people to think that I know where they should buy their electricity. I love the idea, I do it myself, but I don't think I am in a position to tell everyone in town where to buy their electricity. It's that simple.
Thank you.
Gentleman,
Mr. Moderator, John Whitaker, 594 Pension Way. A number of homes in Scituate currently have electrical generators which generate electricity using natural gas, propane gas, or gasoline. And as we know, they are employed usually after a storm that knocks out the power. This past year, there was one period where this was leak. My question is, does this article, or the subsequent article, in any way impede people from installing an electrical generator that essentially uses fossil fuel, petroleum and natural gas, to generate electricity? Is this going to interfere with that at all? My second question, could you please explain in some detail what is the process through which a resident would opt out of this? Thanks.
I see Mr. Boudreau raising to the microphone.
The first question is easy, no. You can still do whatever you want with your generators and all that stuff. The opt-out is actually fairly simple. It's just a notification to the company that you wish to opt out of the program. All those details would be included for residents. They would get a mailer telling them exactly what they needed to do to opt out of the program. But it's a fairly simple process to opt out.
Lady to my right.
Yes, I'm Kathy Cerruti from 65 Brook Street, and I'm one of those people that currently buy green energy on my own for my house, and it's an expensive prospect. I actually look forward to this to save some money for one. I mean, it seems like a win-win situation for me, for the residents, that we're getting green power at competitive, if not cheaper rates than we have now. And so we're saving money and we're actually doing something good for the environment and putting Scituate on the map, along with 147 other towns in Massachusetts that have opted for CCA, community choice aggregation. So right now I feel kind of hand-tied by National Grid that I'm being forced to, unless I pay a lot extra, I'm being forced in a default situation to really power my house with dirty energy. So I think Scituate has an opportunity here to make a real big impact and save some money at the same time. So I think it's a win-win here.
Lady to Senator.
Hi, this is Dan from 15 Pop Ave. I just wanted to speak a little bit to the people concerned a little bit of sort of pricing and different options. There are some great community examples out there, like Devon, for example. They have 3 different options for their residents. The first option is the cleaner, basic cleaner default option. Something like 55% cleaner energy. A second is a no cleaner energy, but there's just the savings option. And then the third is a 100% clean energy option for those who are more environmentally conscious. Still at that bulk buy, so still getting the better rates.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cooper.
There's no question.
Oh, okay.
I'm in support of this.
Gentleman to my left.
My name is Blake South. I just want to speak in support of this law. And I want to say that our landfill presently has a beautiful solar farm on it. We have a windmill generating free wind power. And why shouldn't we have the individual taxpayers have the opportunity to take it on their own power and support green energy? Thank you.
All right, looks like we're ready for a vote. All those in favor of the motion made by Selectman Curran signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. So voted and declared passed by a majority vote. Now, before we handle our last article, Article 14, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of Representative Patrick Kieran. And if you could just, Representative, if you could just stand up and give us a wave. And thank you very much for taking time to attend, and you're probably recovering from campaign season, so thank you. All right, Article 14, on the motion. I think we have the petitioners who are going to make the motion on this. Lisa, come on.
Lisa Bertola, 52 Elm Street, Scituate. Article 14 is a non-binding resolution to go on record before our town officials and in the minutes of this meeting that the majority of voters in the town of Scituate want clean power obtained responsibly and with the greater environmental good in mind. As a designated green community, we want the officials to use the community choice aggregation legislation to increase the percentage of Massachusetts Class 1 renewables. That includes wind, solar, and digestible compostable material, I'm not sure how you say that, with some or all of the savings we obtain relative to the average annual basic service rate through bulk purchasing as a municipality. Lots of municipalities, 147 I think to date, have done this, and as you heard previously, are meeting the basic service rates. We actually did a survey of those rates, and they're all better than ours here in Scituate. The town of Brookline, as we heard, increased their percentage of renewables above the Massachusetts mandate by as much as 25%, and they are still at or below the average basic service rate they had when they started. This is an opportunity to come together as energy consumers and say we want better, safer energy options, and recognize that there are other sources other than fossil fuels that do not jeopardize our environment. The motivation to do this is about our legacy for the future of Scituate. We can do more than repair seawalls and have evacuation plans. We can also embody an long-term environmental agenda. We have an opportunity to offset our collective carbon footprint for future generations and stand together with the scientific community that is headquartered right here in Scituate on First Cliff at NOAA, and be on the right side of history. The youth of Scituate are watching. This is about our legacy for our kids, and I hope you will all come together in a non-binding, collective, positive way and say yes to this. One last comment. In layman's terms, it's saying that within the community aggregation plan, some of the savings or all of the savings that we obtain through competitive bidding is used to insert Class 1 renewables, Massachusetts Class 1 renewables, the cleanest sources possible. That is what it's doing in layman's terms, specifically to the program details.
All right, we have a motion, there's a second. I think the motion speaks for itself. Recommendation from the board is what?
On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, who vote 4-1, we recommend approval of this motion.
From the advisory committee, Mr. Jared Kelly.
The advisory committee recommended approval of this motion 5-1. The one vote who was not in favor of this was concerned about the requirement to opt out to retain the base current electric structure versus an opt-in. The reason for that is simple. In order to get the best price on renewable energy, that includes solar, wind, fuel cells, hydro, flow of the river, everything that you can imagine, you've got to have the mass of the town as buying power versus individual electric renewable contracts. So, having said that, the advisory committee votes 5-1 in favor of this citizen's petition.
Before we get into any debate, this is a resolution. It's not binding. There's a school of thought that says we shouldn't vote on resolutions, period. But then, before the revolution, lots of town meetings voted on declaring the country to be independent, and well, look how that turned out. So we can have some debate on it, but keeping in mind that whatever we do is not binding. Gentlemen,
Mike Westbrook, 44 Amy's Road, Scituate, Mass. I just got a question for the petitioners. So in Article 13, we're creating a board to study electricity and decide whether we want to reduce cost or add more green. But in Article 14, you're telling us what to do. What's the point of the board? Why don't we have the board decide? Maybe it's better off that we keep the energy where we are and lower the cost for everybody. Everybody's complaining about new taxes. Maybe this is a way to offset some of the individual costs. I guess I don't see what the point of the second article is. If you want a board to study it, then let's have a board study that's represented by the people, not dictate what the board's doing.
To answer the question.
As I mentioned previously, the true cost of not doing this is big. We are currently spending town taxpayer dollars at an incredible rate for storm damages related to pollution and the effects of pollution. So in terms of total cost, I don't understand your point.
Okay, well, the total cost, on an individual taxpayer basis, if we could just put a committee together and they could decide how being in an aggregate group, we can buy energy, and it's gonna save everyone, I don't know, $50, $100, $200 a year. Why wouldn't we let the town decide from the group that we've established, if that's what they would rather do, rather than saying, we now want you to have a group, but then the next article, we're gonna tell the group that we want you to choose more green energy. I'm not against green energy, I'm just, the townspeople are worried about taxes, this is the way they might get together and save some money.
Okay, well, hold on. A couple points. Number one, we can't have a debate back and forth like that. And number two, this is a non-binding resolution. So these are interesting questions, seriously. But they're also rhetorical in nature. Go ahead to answer the question. Are you to answer the question?
Yes, I am.
Okay, to answer the
Thank you,
question.
Mr. Moderator.
Please identify yourself.
Lisa Scanlon, 15 Clark. Just to address that question, like I mentioned with Article 13, there is an opportunity we're asking that when this group does come together to determine that there are options in there for the town to be able to buy more renewables. There also could be an option in there, just like you're saying, where you can just say, nope, I don't want anything cleaner, I don't want cleaner energy in my house, I just want 100% safe money. Thank you.
Gentleman to my left.
Mark Fenton, 25 Crescent. Is it appropriate to move the question, sir? Would you accept that?
Sure. Requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of terminating, they signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? To declare it passes by 2/3 vote. So we're on to the main motion, which is to adopt the community choice aggregation resolution. Requires a majority vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted and declared passed by a majority vote. Before I'll accept the motion to adjourn, I again want to thank Madam Clerk, the Clerk's Office, assistants, the many tellers, John Caputo, all the people who worked very hard to put this together. Thank you all. Is there a motion to move to adjourn? Second, other discussion, all in favor?